So again, we'll get started in a minute, but you go ahead and type in the question box. Tell me where you guys are from. I see dozens of people are on the line, so let me say hello to you. So let's see here. Okay, Cindy from Atlanta. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Carlos from Tampa. That's not Carlos Lacosta, is it? I know a Carlos in Tampa. Michelle in Portland. Leslie in Independence, Kentucky. Timothy, Orlando. Lisa, Tucson. Terry, Lubbock, Texas. Maui, Lori. Everybody's going to be jealous. Beth, Southern California. I am too, Beth. I'm in Pasadena. Yes, it is, Carlos says. Great. So Lisa from Tucson, Brian from Utah. Go ahead. I know there are dozens of people on the line. We're still early. We're going to get started in just a minute. But in the meantime, I like a lot of interaction on my webinars. Keeps me engaged. Hopefully, it'll keep you engaged as well. So tell me where you guys are from. I see Christine from Flagstaff, Beth from Orange County. Hi, neighbor. Yeah, hi, Beth. How are you? Thanks for being on the call. Anybody from out of the country? I have clients in Australia, New Zealand, Austria, UK. We had clients, we had people on the line last time from Scotland and various places. So let us know. Rich from Colorado. Hey, Rich, welcome to the call. So tell me, introduce yourself if you would. Just type in the question box where you guys are from. Love to hear a little bit about where you're from. Maybe you could even type in if you're an author already or just aspiring, and we can even give your book a little bit of free publicity on the webinar. So again, welcome to the call. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Thanks for being on early. That was wise. Of course, we did this webinar last Tuesday and had some massive internet issues. Wow, I am praying that that doesn't happen this time. But even prior to that, I don't know how many, but I got dozens and dozens of emails from people that said that they tried to get on the webinar, but all the lines were full. So really smart to be on early. That's fantastic. Let's see. Michelle says, book published to Amazon last week. Hey, congratulations. The Amazing Power of Testimonials and How to Receive Them. That's Michelle's book. Cindy is an aspiring author. Fantastic. Continue to introduce yourself, guys. We're going to get started in just another minute. Looks like it just hit 3. I'm going to show my screen in just a second, and then we're going to get cranking. In the meantime, I'd love to just hear where you're from and a thing or two about you. I like a lot of interaction. I hope that's okay with you guys because I'm going to be asking you questions along the way, and I want to make sure that that you guys are getting the material that you want, because there's a couple of different directions that we could go here regarding the webinar. So let's go ahead and show my screen. Let's get cranking. Make sure you guys can see my screen okay. Do me a favor, just type in the chat box that says you can see the screen. Thanks, Ryan. Mike again. Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy? Great to have you on the webinar. Let's see. Beth's published 3 books. Congratulations. That's awesome, Beth. Carlos, Christine says yes, so you can see my screen okay. Everyone says they can see my screen really good. All right, so let's jump right in then. First of all, I am recording this, so Lord willing, I'll have a recording for all of you guys, and we'll be able to get that out. I'll share, a bunch of different things. Let me say this kind of right in the beginning. This is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give you a ton of content. Even if you were on the previous webinar, I have some new stuff for you to share that's kind of interesting. There is going to be nothing for sale on this webinar, nothing. I'm not offering my program. I'm not offering anything for sale. There's nothing for you to buy. So, let your guard down. I'm not going to ask you for your credit card or money or anything. You can't buy anything. You could text me and say, Rob, I'm ready to buy, and I'll say that's great. But we're not doing that on the webinar. So I hope that's really clear. I'm going to make that as clear as I possibly can. There's nothing for you to buy, and I'm not selling anything, and I'm not making an offer at the end of the webinar. So, okay. So let me tell you a little bit about the journey we're going to go on tonight. I'm going to go into as much detail as possible in an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so. Plus, I'm going to open it up to Q&A. We had like dozens and dozens of questions last time, so I'm going to do my best to get those questions answered for you, and I'll stay on as long as I need to. A couple things I want to get your permission for. I'm going to talk fast. I'm talking fast now, and I'm barely even excited. Just wait. I'll probably start talking faster. Also, I've been told by my Australian clients that I have a bit of an accent. I don't know what y'all are talking about, but there's a little bit of an accent. It's not a Southern California one, even though I do live in beautiful San Marino, which is near Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. So, with your permission, this is what you're going to hear. So you better get used to it. It's going to be fast and it's going to be a little bit southern. So it might be a good idea, and I would recommend that you take notes. Just grab a pen, grab a pad, because I'm going to go through some things pretty quick. And as I said, I am going to record this, but you never know. And I will make the recording available to you guys specifically. So, but my suggestion: grab a pen, grab a pad of paper, and take some notes. Okay. So this is what we're going to be talking about and focusing on tonight. We're going to talk about my Publish, Promote, Profit program. It's a trademark program. I'm going to share with you, exactly what you need to do if you have your own business. If you are an expert, perhaps you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a speaker or a consultant, a coach of some way. How you can add an additional 20 to 40,000 a month in income, and honestly, you can create a seven-figure income with the things I'm going to share with you tonight. I'm going to talk about how you can join the top 1% of your industry with your own best-selling book. Think in terms of guys like Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Dave Ramsey, Zig Ziglar, just about anybody that you can think of that was at the top or is at the top of your industry. Most of them, if not all of them, started out with their own best-selling book. So now I know that there's different people on the line here tonight. Some of you may already have a book, and so you're really looking for some advice. You want to know how to make that book a bestseller. I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to talk specifically about how we do that, how we launch our books. Maybe others of you are looking to, create a book from scratch and wondering, what kind of book to write and how do I write it. And I'm going to share with you some of my mistakes and challenges and issues that I had and how I overcame them. So, there are three primary things when I talk to authors, and I've talked to, I don't know, hundreds, thousands, in groups, thousands of them, and hundreds of them over time, just one-on-one on the telephone. And typically there's three things that we want from our books. We want income, and they may not necessarily be in this order. So we want income. We want to make money with our books. We want to make an impact. We want to get our message out with our books. And we want that to lead to independence for us. These are typically the things we want. Now, there may be, something else, maybe one thing in particular you're interested in. Maybe all three of those things are really, really important to you. Remember, I told you I like a lot of feedback. And so, you want one, two, or all three of these things. You want this. So here's the question, and I'd like you to type it in the question box. What are you looking for specifically out of your book, and what has been holding you back from doing it? What do you think has been holding you back? We'll take a few minutes, 20 or 30 seconds here, and I want you to type in the chat box, in the question box, what are you looking for? Primarily is it about income? Primarily is it about impact? Primarily is it about independence? And what's been holding you back? If you know you want one, two, or three, or all of those things, then what's been the challenge? And I want to know what's holding you back, because I want to be able to tailor some of the content for you. Maybe you already have a book and it's just not successful, so you don't know how to make it successful. Maybe you just don't know if you wrote the right book. So I'm going to take a few seconds. I want to hear from you guys, if you would, and if it's okay, I'll just read what's been written and just kind of go through and share some of these things. So again, Erin says she's looking for all three of those things. I think, Erin, you also said I'm working with a publisher, should have my book edited and published by the end of this year. That's fantastic. Great. So you're wondering about the program as far as the promotion goes. No problem. I'm going to share a lot about the promotion program. Brian says, looking for income, impact, and independence. Time and energy has been holding you back because you have to edit your book. I get that. I know what it's like to try to wear like the 50 hats that you need to wear to get your book done. I get that. Carlos says, income flow, time to write, know-how. Okay, good. So really knowing what to do, knowing how to do it. Okay, great. Jim says, really wants to make an impact. The challenge has been the time. I totally understand that. There are only a very, very, very small few select people that can literally sit down and write and gut out their book every single day. It's very difficult to do, to find that time. Faye says, looking for income, how to get booked for speaking gigs. Excellent. Challenge is how to leverage the book and plan a strategy for making it successful. Also, identify how I know if it's the right book for my audience. Beautifully said, Faith. I'm going to talk really specifically about several of those things that you're having a challenge with. So I think it should be very helpful for you. Christine says, looking for income primarily, narrowing down ideas and putting pen to paper. Excellent. You have to start with, well, we'll talk about it. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Jennifer says, written a book already, want to make an impact and an income. I've worked hard at promoting it, but I'm thinking I haven't promoted it in the correct way. I get that. That's a challenge. Faith says, writing her fourth book. Good. And okay, so Faith, is it producing for you what you want? Is it producing the income, the independence, the impact that you want, or not quite there? And if not quite there, then why? Kenneth, looking for acknowledgement as a writer. Beautiful. And the world will acknowledge you once you go ahead and claim that. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Lisa says, back in school again to become a health coach. Would love to join the ranks of the individuals that have gone before me. Fantastic. Tons of comments, guys. Thanks so much. Just dozens here. Probably won't get to them all because I do want to move, but thank you. Jean-Pierre says, it's all three. You know my story. Have the book. Yeah, Jean-Pierre is one of my clients, actually in Austria. I think is this the Jean-Pierre in Austria? If it is, dude, it's late. It's like midnight or so for you, isn't it? So great to have you on the line, my friend. Impact mainly, Kathy says, fear of visibility has been holding me back, and also fear of rejection. I get that, Kathy. Absolutely get that. Thank you for sharing that and your humility. Leslie says, finding the right customer. My self-published books don't make enough of an impact. Thank you. Thanks for the honesty there, Leslie. Miko says, being distracted and staying motivated after I've started. I'm looking for all three: income, impact, and independence. Excellent. Guys, thank you. Thank you, Cindy and Darlene and Faith and Ray and Gary and Yumi and Lisa and Richard and Andre and Lorraine. Gosh, and so many others of you that have commented. So I'm going to try to get to your comments, and certainly any questions that you guys have, I absolutely am going to get to those. So let's kind of talk a little bit about who this webinar is for and why I put this together. Typically, I work with a couple types of clients, and what you see at the top, and this is kind of the idea of the glass ceiling. What you see at the top is what you may hear, or what I may hear in speaking to, these different types of clients. One thing I might hear and hear quite often is, look, I'm pretty successful in my field, but I've hit like a ceiling. My income is up and down. It's like a roller coaster. I chase clients. Something you'll hear me talk about is being the hunted and not the hunter. And I'm not viewed as an authority in my field. And I'm really interested in if a book can help me to accomplish those things. And the truth of the matter is, it can tremendously help you accomplish those things. Or I hear from those clients that already have a book that, look, I already have a book, but honestly, it's not doing anything. Maybe it's not dead, but it's not really making the income, impact, and independence that I want. I have very few reviews, I have very few sales, and I have even fewer results. So the reason I put together this webinar is to share as much content as I can with you in an hour on what the book's done for me and my businesses, past and present, as well as some of my clients, and to share some of the strategies in helping to publish, promote, and profit from your own best-selling book. So that was the idea, okay? So a couple of things. This is not my car, but man, it is a sweet-looking car. We're going to be moving really fast in the webinar. So two things. One, I told you I'm going to be recording this, and I want to give you both the recording and I want to give you the slides. Okay. So if you're interested in getting the recording, you're interested in getting the slides, and just type in the question box, yes, yes, yes. Just let me know that you're interested in that. And I need your help. I don't have a slide at the end with where the webinar recording is going to be. It's not set up yet. Thank you, by the way. I see all the yeses. Mike, Terry, Aaron, Christine, Cindy, Faith, Andre, Richard, just done. Okay, great. All right, so here's the favor that I need. At the end of the webinar, I need you to remind me Rob, where are the slides? Where's the recording going to be? And I'm going to give you the exact link to where that is going to be. So do me a favor, please remind me. I don't have a slide about that, and when I get into answering the questions and stuff, I may forget. So just somebody type in, Rob, remember, we need to know where the slides are, where the webinar recording is going to be. Okay? So I will have all that up for you. Okay, before I jump into the big content, just a little FTC like warning. I'm going to show you a bunch of results, my personal results, even income results of myself, my clients. I'm not promising you that you're going to get these results. They're not typical. I don't really know anything about you. We're doing a webinar, and I'm going to teach you some stuff, and I'm going to help you as much as I can. But I don't know what you can or can achieve with the information that I'm giving you. What I do know is that the clients that I work with achieve the results because we actually guarantee we do it for them. And these are the kind of clients that I'm going to be sharing with you as I share some of the different results that my clients have gotten. I don't like to share and spend a whole lot of time about myself, but that's my ugly mug right there. My name is Rob Kosberg, in case you hadn't figured it out or wondering how you wound up on this webinar. Um, you know, I can't even tell you. Sometimes it blows my mind that I'm doing what I'm doing because in many ways I kind of stumbled into this. I was in the financial services industry, real estate and financial services for a long time. I started in that really selling real estate to work my way through college because my dad owned a real estate company. And I was pretty successful at both real estate and then eventually in mortgage finance and in other financial services. But I was successful because I was the hunter and not the hunted. In other words, I made cold calls. I knocked on doors. I visited real estate offices when I did mortgages. I mean, I did what I was told and what I knew I should, and because of that, I was successful. It was pretty cool. But I turned 50 this year, and after years and even decades of hunting clients and chasing clients, it gets kind of old. And those of you that have your own business, you totally know that. You're probably tired of that. And I see some of you going, yes, 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 tired of hunting. Absolutely. So again, a little bit of background. I had a pretty successful. I owned three companies with a partner in the early 2000s. I owned a real estate company. I was also I owned a licensed mortgage company, and I was a licensed title agent. And you know what was going on in real estate. I lived in Florida at the time. It was booming. It was going great. My businesses were doing over $2.5 million a year in income. I had 40 mortgage consultants and 7 full-time staff and title agents, and it was fun until it wasn't fun. Of course, around 2007, 2008, we know what happened. The financial industry really kind of crashed. Fortunately, around this time, even a couple years before, I had been learning more about marketing and becoming the hunted instead of being the hunter. However, not enough. And in the beginning of 2008, I actually closed all three of the companies that I owned, and went from $2.5 million in income one year to literally all three of those businesses completely shut down. So there I was, beginning of 2008, not wanting to reinvent myself, and not wanting to reinvent my mortgage, my real estate, those companies. I was really kind of burned out about it. Now, I knew financial services more than anything else. And I knew I needed to do something in that industry because that was where my client base was, but I didn't want to do anything in the financial services field of mortgages, title insurance, etc. I can't tell you all the reasons that I decided to do this, but I learned from some great marketing experts like Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy and others that had written books, and some of the people that I mentioned to you before, like Tony Robbins and a Zig Ziglar and a John Maxwell and a Dave Ramsey. And I said, I'm going to write a book. I decided to write this book called Life After Debt, and to start my new company, my new financial services company. The interesting thing is I didn't realize two things. I didn't realize how successful it would be and how much it would mean to my business, but I had no idea how difficult it would be to do it either. The first thing I did is I went online, I hired a ghostwriter. I spent several $1,000s with a ghostwriter, which is actually pretty cheap. If any of you have looked into professional ghostwriting services, you know that on average, it's typically 5 figures. And usually, if you get a good seasoned ghostwriter, can easily be $25,000. I didn't get one of those, but I still spent 3, 4, $5,000 when all was said and done. The ghostwriter got with me. We had one session together. She asked for an outline of what I wanted for my book, and she also asked if we could talk a little bit about each chapter. We had one session together. I gave her the outline. We talked about the various specific chapters, and she went away. About a month later, she came back with my book, and I was so excited. And I started to read it, and it was awful. I just thought, there's no way that I can. This is not what I think. It's not what I believe. It's not in my voice. It's just not right. And unfortunately, I took that book and I just threw it in the garbage with the thousands of dollars that I paid the ghostwriter to get it done. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to write this myself. So I sat down and I started gutting it out, all the while, trying to take care of my family and be a good husband, be a good dad, and earn an income after shutting down 3 businesses. It took me about 18 months. It was about the middle part of 2009, end of 2009, that I got my book finished. And fortunately, the book was pretty successful. The book became a top-rated book, highly reviewed, highly rated. When we launched it, it was the #1 book in its category. It was promoted by Amazon, which is pretty cool. When we launched it, it went head to head with some really big name people in my industry. A guy like Dave Ramsey, who I am certainly no Dave Ramsey, and to outsell him. And to sell more than a guy like Stedman Graham, who obviously through his connections with Oprah, you would think knows how to launch a book. The book became, pretty popular. The most important thing for me at that time, as I was struggling and starting a brand new business, was that it really massively impacted my income. I started a new company, if you see at the top left, in September of 2009. And on the back of this book, not a mortgage business, not real estate related, completely new financial company, I did, $1 million in income by 2011. I only show you this, and it's pretty unusual to show, someone's tax returns, but I show you this to show you what can be done from nothing. I mean, I started in a new industry. I reinvented myself. And in a period of less than 18 months, I mean, from September to the end of 2011 is about, 15 months? I mean, from zeros, nothing, to doing $1 million in income in 15 months, all on the back of my best-selling book. I did something kind of crazy after that. I actually left Florida. I left my business because I didn't want to be in the financial services industry anymore. And I had a ton of people coming to me saying, hey, look, business owners that really were struggling in the financial crisis and asking me, hey, can you show us how to do what you did? And I just fell in love with being a consultant and a coach. I've spoken, I've worked with some pretty, some pretty cool people. I have clients that are literally all over the world. As I said earlier, Australia, New Zealand, UK. Of course, Jean-Pierre from Austria is on this call, and all over the United States. I love what I do. I love what the people that I work with, and this is something that anybody can do. If you're an expert, you're a consultant, you're a speaker, a coach, you have an expertise, then using a best-selling book, you can do amazing things with that best-selling book. So let me stop for just a second before we get kind of in the meat of a lot of what we're going to talk about. I want some feedback. I've been talking for a long time. I need to take a sip of water. What's been the most helpful for you so far? The things that I've shared, the brief things that I've showed you, what's been helpful for you so far? Take 20 or 30 seconds. Go ahead and type it in the question box. What's been helpful? How have you been helped? Go ahead. So let's see here. Faith says credibility building is good, but ready for the how. Okay, we'll get in there. I promise. I'm not just trying to build credibility. I want to show you what's possible with your own best-selling book. Carlos says, "Don't be a ghost. Don't get a ghostwriter." Okay. Jean-Pierre, hearing your story. Good. Aaron, I missed how your book became the bestseller. I'm going to share that. Cindy, knowing what we want from our books. Very good. Kelly, that my goals are possible based on your story. Fantastic. Mike says, inspired. Looking forward to connecting the dots. Jim says, the cost of a ghostwriter. Yeah, the cost can be high, and not just the financial cost, but the cost of having it done incorrectly. Chad says, credibility and your W-2. Yeah. Yeah, that I did at least block out the EIN number. So, Kenneth says printed proof. I like that. Kathy says thinking about exactly what I want from the book and hearing other people's comments about that. Your own personal story is really great. Good. Christine, the ghostwriter. Toya says possibility is exactly what is encouraging. Excellent. Patricia, knowing you can have people coming to you and not running that's it, not running so much chasing down leads. That I didn't even share a lot about that, but everything transformed with the book and how I use the book because it positioned me now as a best-selling author, the expert in the industry, and so people were hunting me down. So thanks for mentioning that. By the way, when you mention different things in your comments, it really helps me to be able to maybe share some different things in a kind of a different perspective. So let's jump in. I got tons more comments. Thank you, Lisa and Andre and Ray and others. So let me move past that into some of this the deeper stuff that we're going to talk about. The first thing, and if you don't get anything else out of this webinar, this is something I want you to get, and that is that your book, whether it's written or not, maybe it's written but it's not the right one, I don't know, but your book is your gateway to a 6 or even a 7-figure business. I could be bold and say an 8 or a 9-figure business because guys like John Maxwell and Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar did that because no one ever heard of them until they had a book. But let's be humble, right? Let's have a little less faith than that, and let's just say that your book is the gateway to your 6 or 7-figure income. I want you to get that tonight. Here's where we're going to jump in. We're going to talk again about publish, promote, profit. If you already have a book, some of this will help you regarding the publishing. Some of it may not. But obviously, for those of you that don't have a book, the published piece is going to be kind of most specific. So not long ago, there was that's me talking fast and stumbling over my tongue. There was a New York Times survey not long ago, and they surveyed generally in the United States, but I think this is probably true across the first world at least. They surveyed, the U.S. population, both men and women, tens of thousands of people across the country, asking them, have they ever thought or do they desire to write a book? And they found that 81% of the population in the United States, over 200 million people, close to 250 million people, wanted their own book. Here's the shocking thing. 0.0025% ever actually do it. So those of you that have written your own book and you're on this, congratulations. You've done something, really pretty amazing. On the other hand, if you haven't and you've been thinking about it for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, look, you can do it. Yes, it's hard to do, but it is such a massive mistake not to. You can do this. Whether it's the way that I'm going to lay out that I did it and now we help our clients do it, or if it's just sitting down and gutting it out, the bottom line is the sky is the limit with your own book. If you get this right, the sky is the limit for you. So here's the challenge, though. There's 2 primary reasons why it's so hard, why 81% of the population wants to write a book, but only 0.0025% ever actually do it. And from talking to tons of people that want to be authors, this is what I've learned. The 2 problems are, number 1, they don't know what to write about, okay? Now, this is good for those of you that have already written books as well. They don't know what to write about. Oftentimes, I'll talk to authors that have written a book, but it is just not the correct book. meaning that it's not the book that they wanted to write to attract the right person in their life. It's the book that they thought was, but they didn't think in the right way. And I'm going to share with you what that means in just a second. The second problem that I find is that they don't know how to do it. People think that the way you write a book is you just sit down and you start writing. Sure. If you have, otherworldly discipline, you can probably do it that way. And there are some people that absolutely do. One of John Maxwell's, five maxims is every day he writes, every day, including Christmas, including New Year's Eve. Look, I'm just not that guy. And what I've learned is 97.8% of the people I speak to, they're just not that person either. So they need, a plan. So let me share with you a little bit of thoughts on the best way to start the how and the what. So first of all, in creating your book, you have to start with the end in mind. Let me share with you what I mean by that. You need to ask yourself, these are the questions that we ask of our potential clients. You need to ask, who is my ideal client? Okay? Who is my ideal client? Ask yourself, before you've ever thought of a title or what you want to write, or I want to do my autobiography, or I want to share about my experiences, ask yourself, who are you trying to attract with the book? The more specific you can be. We do something with our clients called creating a customer avatar. And by the way, this doesn't matter if you're writing fiction or nonfiction. Because if you're writing fiction, you still need to think in terms of who the audience is. Who are you writing to? Who's going to be purchasing this book? Obviously, with nonfiction, you think in the same terms, but you also think one step further ahead. You think, okay, who can I use the book to attract to me for consulting, for services sold, etc. So we have, fortunately now, part of creating a great book is having a great team of people around you. And so, one of the guys that I've known for years, and that is my senior project manager, Sean, is just phenomenal at this. And that is really figuring out with the client what the book should be for. Okay, what's the end result that we're looking to accomplish? Okay, you're a speaker, so you want speaking engagements. I get that. Okay, but after the speaking engagement, are you selling anything? Are you selling coaching? Are you selling consulting? Well, what is your magic power, so to speak? What do you do for a client? What is the $100,000 problem that you can solve for them that they're going to say, I want to do business with this person? That's one of the beauties of working with someone like Sean. He has one-on-one times with our clients. As a project manager, there's lots of things he'll do, and I'll probably share more about that in different stages. But you need to have, one of the caps that either you need to wear or someone else needs to wear for you is the cap of being the project manager of your book. And the first thing the project manager does is he helps you to figure out who your customer, your audience, the avatar is. And so the questions are things like, well, what is the biggest problem that that person has, your customer, your audience? What are their fears? What are their concerns? What are their aspirations? What are their desires? See, those are the things that you want to speak to. And those are the questions that you want to answer for that individual. You have to start with those questions answered before you ever take your knowledge and put it into a book. Otherwise, you'll have a book with your knowledge in it, but either it'll be too general or it'll be speaking to the wrong audience. You have to start and wear that project manager cap so that you write the correct book. The second part, or the how, is a little bit about what I shared in the beginning. There's really only a few different ways to get your book out there. The first is to just, sit down and gut it out. At the end of the day, that's what I ended up doing with my first book. It took me about 18 months to finish it. It was very painful, and it's a short book. And when I look through it now, sometimes I shudder. I go, oh, I wish I'd have done this differently. But it certainly, it certainly served its purpose for me. So you could sit down and gut it out. Maybe you've been trying to do that for years. Most of the people I speak to, that's the exact case. The second is you could work with a ghostwriter. Ghostwriters, again, are very popular. Just about any famous person you can think of that has a best-selling book, and think, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, etc. They worked with a ghostwriter, but they worked with a ghostwriter that they paid $30, $40, $50,000 to. Okay, not a ghostwriter like I worked with that I paid $3, $4, $5,000. Okay, so if you can afford a $50,000 ghostwriter, then that could be, an excellent option for you. Now, I don't know if it'll sell as many copies as Hillary's book or Barack Obama's book, but you'll get a quality work that way. For most people, that's just not possible. So what we came up with, and what now works really, really well for our clients, and something that you can absolutely do, is what we call our hybrid ghostwriting process. See, one of the challenges with ghostwriting is that it's just not your voice. It's like not how you would say something, and it's not oftentimes what your personal conviction is about that thing. Or maybe there's more weight on something that you feel less about, and there's less weight on something that you feel should have more weight to it. So it doesn't have your voice. Well, what we do with our hybrid ghostwriting process is this. And here's the cool thing. So, I shared about the idea of a team. And so when you're putting a book together, the caps that you need to wear are things like, the project manager, which kind of oversees everything. There's the editor, there's the ghostwriter, there's the graphics person, because you need a great cover. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. There's the marketing people, for pay-per-click advertising perhaps, or all the different places that you can advertise your book, the social media people. So you have to wear all of these different caps, with the project manager, in our case, Sean, overseeing kind of this process for people. But when it comes to this very, very beginning, you have to start with the initial project manager time, planning out what the book is about, who the audience is for, what is going to be shared. The next step is going to be, okay, let's really determine from that information the book that we should write. And what we do is we work our way backwards, with our clients, to the title, which I'm going to share a little bit more about creating a title and a hook and all that. And then the content actually last. The last thing we do in the structure of the book is putting the content, the chapter content down. But the hybrid ghostwriting process works like this. Once that's done, once the project manager has that stuff laid out, the next step is we do a series of recordings. And this is something you can do in what we call our hybrid ghostwriting process. So the recordings are simple sessions with you and a ghostwriter on the telephone. And you already know what the chapter's about because it's been outlined. So let's say we're going to meet, we're going to record chapter number 1 together. And chapter number 1 is going to be about this topic. So the ghostwriters say, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to come prepared with 2 or 3 main points about that chapter, just like you were speaking to a room of 10 people or 100 people. And you're going to share, the important 2 or 3 points. And then you're going to share 1 or 2 stories. They could be positive, they could be negative, they could be from your business, from your life. The examples could be even from history, whatever, sports, etc. Share those examples and relate them back to illustrate the points you're trying to make. So you come on the line, you have a 15, 20-minute conversation with a ghostwriter. All of that is recorded and transcribed. Now you have your voice on paper. Now it's really rough. You record for 20 or 30 minutes and you'll get, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages, but it's really rough material. However, for a ghostwriter, the ghostwriter now isn't having to pull this out of thin air. The ghostwriter can see what your voice is, understand what your convictions are, and have literally the phrases you use and the weight of the different topics on the things that you feel like are the important or weightier ones. That ghostwriter can then take that and make that into a polished, finished product. That's what we do. It's something that you can do as well. So you speak your book, but you speak it within a very powerful framework, and then allow the ghostwriter from there to move forward and to ghostwrite the book. I talked about team. I shared a little bit about that, but these are some of the hats that you need to wear. I shared about the project manager, Sean, who is our project manager. He's phenomenal. He's going to start, or your project manager hat is going to be all about really figuring out who's my ideal client, who's my audience, what are their fears, what are their desires, what are their aspirations, what are their worries, what keeps them up at night. Let me see if I can solve those problems, answer those questions for them. From there, I create my title, my hook, my subtitle, and then the content. Okay, I know I'm moving pretty fast here. As I said, I am recording it. So the project manager helps with all of those pieces. Okay, then it goes to the hybrid ghostwriting process. From there, it goes to getting your book edited once it's already been ghostwritten. Then, of course, you do the graphics. You need to do the formatting of the book, the marketing, etc. But those are the hats that you need to wear to make sure that you have a product that you're happy with, and it doesn't take you 2 years to get your product out. Okay. This is a client of mine in New Zealand. Great client. His book is called Iron Evolution. He owns a very successful fitness company. And I want to share this one thing with you because Terrence had been trying to write his book for almost 10 years and just couldn't get it out. And so after his time with the project manager, I then do 1 to 3 sessions with our clients to really determine the things like the title hook, the content, et cetera, making sure we're writing the right book. So here's what Terrence said. He said, I just had my first official consult for my book with Rob online. Wow, the adrenaline is coursing through my veins. How exciting. In just a short space of time, I feel like we achieved a great deal of work. In one session, we have title, subtitle, content structure for a plan of attack. That was awesome, Rob. Extremely productive, surprisingly a lot easier. He goes on, if I could shake your hand and give you a big hug, I'd be all over it. Very inspiring. Point is, when you do it in this process, you can have, in a very short period of time, an incredible result. So as where you're not sitting on something for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, because you have the project management piece of it all in place. Okay? So let me ask you guys, some of you have already written your book. I want to hear a little bit about it. I want to hear a little bit about your process. I like a lot of feedback, so I want to go through some of this. Where are you at in writing your book right now? Maybe you're just in the thinking mode. Maybe it's been 3 years, 5 years. Share that with me, please. Where are you at in the creation of your book or multiple books in your case? I'll give you 20, 30 seconds to share that. So Mike says his book is complete. I know your book is, Mike. In fact, you sent it to me, so I look forward to going over that. So good. Let's see. Jim says you've just started it. Good, Jim. How long have you been working on your book? How long have you been thinking about it? So share with that. Jean-Pierre finished. Of course, Jean-Pierre, we're going to be launching that baby and making it a bestseller very soon. Faith says, have all the chapters identified and now in the writing process. Good. Working on having it by early November. That's a very ambitious goal. That's fantastic, Faith. Brian says self-published 3 years ago, but decided to go back and edit it. Okay. Maybe share with us what kind of results you've achieved from it at this point, Brian. Give us a little input there. Carla says, I'm still in the thinking mode. Wife already finished hers. Good deal. Our wives are often ahead of us, aren't they? Abby says, thinking mode, personal stories with obstacles to overcome. Okay, good. Personal stories are great. You just have to make sure that you're writing the correct book for your audience, as I share. Jennifer published my book on Amazon. It's a Bible study on the fruit of the Spirit. Excellent. Good to hear, Jennifer. Hope that book is going well. Kelly says, just finished launching it on September 14th. Excellent. Lori, book outlined, trouble finishing it. Okay, I hear you. Oftentimes, I talk to many clients that get their book started, but they hit a roadblock somewhere along the lines. They go back, they edit, they re-edit, they edit, they re-edit, and never get it, all the way to completion. Justin says it's in the idea phase. Aaron, 30 days to complete first draft, about 180 pages into it. Great job, Aaron. Is this Aaron in Beverly Hills? Hi, Aaron, if it is. Great to see you on the webinar. Not see you, but you know what I mean. Kathy, written several sections, but most of it's quite rough. Various sketches of parts, but nothing concrete. Good. I like your suggestion of planning. Excellent. Be the project manager, Kathy. You need a project manager to help walk you through it all. Michelle says, written my first novella. Excellent. Darlene, Terry. Terry says, I have 2 children's books. Patricia had the outline for all the chapters, been working on it for a year. Okay, good. Well, you're still 6 months before I finished mine, so be encouraged, but also know that there's a faster way for you to get this done if you're hoping to get it done sooner rather than later. Good. Tons more comments. Richard, Mike, Cindy, Andre, Janae, Jim, Mike, Ray, Brian, thank you for your comments. Aaron says yes. Hi, Aaron. Thanks for being on. Great to have you on. Christine says, yes, 10 years thinking this through. Breakdown is what I needed to hear for my action with Ghostwriter. Great. Table of contents, 20 pages in. Beth says, good. So let me say this again to all of you. Your book is your gateway to your 6 or 7 figure business. Get it done. Don't let anything stand in the way of getting it done. And if you have your book done, but it's just not doing for you what you want it to do, then the next 2 sections that we're going to talk about are going to be really for you. If your book is done, it's out there, maybe it's been out there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, that's okay. We have a good number of clients that have come to us. Their books were out for even years, and with a little bit of refreshing and with a powerful marketing launch, promotion, which we're going to talk about, it radically changed and made them bestsellers. So let's jump right into the promotion phase. Look, the last thing you want with your book after you spent all that time, energy, and money, because even if you do everything on your own, you still probably want to have someone edit it, someone format it. Unless you're a graphic designer, you need graphic design done. You still spend money on it, even if you do everything yourself. So you do all of that. Maybe you've spent months, certainly you've spent months, probably even years, and the book is flatlined. There's very little sales, very little interest. That's the worst feeling. So let me share some really important elements when it comes to the promotion of your book. There are 3 base elements before the book gets promoted that are really, really key. The first is the title and the hook. The second is the cover size. Okay. You say, well, my book is, 6 by 9. I get that. But what you need to understand is that Amazon, Kindle, they sell, now listen to these numbers. They sell more books than the top 10 publishers combined after them. They are the number 1 seller of books worldwide, and the next 9 combined, they outsell. And it's all digital. I mean, they sell some physical, but by far, they sell more digital books. So you really have to take into consideration the digital book. You have to take into consideration making sure that your cover, you only have 90 pixels to work with when it comes to Amazon, Kindle, and online. So you need to make sure that your cover is done right. And then the last is the reviews itself. So let me share a couple of elements here. First, we'll start about the title. Your title is really, really important. It's really crucial to the sales and the acceptance of your book. Here's the way I like to do titles. Now, there is a formula, and I'm going to share a little bit about the formulaic part of it, especially if you're an expert, a coach, an entrepreneur, a business owner. But this applies also to fiction. And so there is a formula. You can step outside it, but I would only suggest stepping outside of it if you're someone like Malcolm Gladwell, John Maxwell, though John never steps outside it. I mean, if you read any of his books, they're the 21 this, the 7 that, the 11 that. It's part of the formula. So let's think. There's no Malcolm Gladwell's on the line, so let's think within the formula of creating a great title. So the first thing you want to think about with your title is what's the hook? What's the catchy part? Here's the way I like to think about it. I like the initial title, 1, 2, or 3 words, to be very kind of interesting and curiosity provoking. Okay? So I'll use my book as an example, Life After Debt. Life After Debt, you certainly have an idea what it's about. If you just read those 3 words, it's probably about debt. But obviously there's a catch to it. It's not life after death, it's life after debt. So there's some curiosity in there, and it's kind of interesting. But the second part, the subtitle or the second part of the title, is something that has to be really benefit driven and descriptive. So again, with my example, it was Life After Debt, practical solutions to get out of debt, build wealth, and radically transform your finances forever. You know, the human brain kind of thinks naturally in threes. That doesn't mean that you have to have three benefits, but I'm just giving you kind of a general formula so that you can understand, what might be best in putting your book title together. So think of something that could be a metaphor, or think of something that provokes some curiosity surrounding your industry, what you do, speaker, coach, consultant, business owner. Think of, that one, two, or three word thing that could provide some curiosity or some interest, and then move into something that's more descriptive and benefit driven. Something that makes a promise in the title so that when they open the book, you have an opportunity to fulfill that promise. That's kind of a simple formulaic way for you to figure out what would be a good title and a hook. This is something that we work together, myself and Sean, my project manager, because the title is something really, really vital. The second I mentioned is the cover. Unfortunately, books are judged by their covers, and there's a couple of really basic things, but they're pretty important. Number one is the words need to be big enough to read in 90 pixels. You can see the example of How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the best-selling books of all time. You have a small amount of space to work with, so as much as possible, you want your book to be very clear about what this is about. If it's a long descriptive subtitle, then it still needs to be large enough for it to be seen. The second important part of a cover is it can't be too busy. Because again, I'm thinking in terms of the 90 pixels that you have to work with. If it works on 90 pixels, then it'll work on 6x9. So let's focus on the 90 pixels. It can't be too busy. You don't want to have a ton of different colors and different fonts and all this busyness going on. It needs to be simple. The simple, the better. The simplest are the best selling. There are some, you can go on Google and you can type best-selling book covers and things like that. And you can literally go through these and look at these, and you can much like the title is formulaic, you can see that the covers themselves are formulaic. If you pay attention to Hollywood movies, of course, we're out here in Southern California, so, the movie industry is huge. Movie posters are very formulaic. And there are, again, websites where you can see just poster after poster after poster of movies through the decades, and the formulas they use over and over and over again, because they're very successful, they're very attractive, and they make for bestsellers. Title, cover. Number three, reviews. Important to talk about reviews. And this is all pre-promoting your book. This is stuff that needs to be in place prior to the actual promotion of your book. So here's the thing about reviews. They're hard to get, but they're necessary. And for those of you that are authors, and this is the truth, you will ask your mom to buy and review your book, and she'll say, "Of course, dear, I love you. I'll buy and review your book," and she'll never get around to it. You'll ask your best friend to do it, and they'll never get around to it. Reviews are hard to get, even from friends and family members. Now, of course, I'm exaggerating slightly, but I can tell you that a large number of people that I've worked with have tried to get reviews from friends and family members and end up with next to nothing. So here's a couple things to think about with reviews. They're hard to get, but they're necessary for two reasons. The two reasons, again, we're talking about Amazon, are number one, the Amazon algorithm is dependent upon your book being well received, well reviewed. Okay, so Amazon is nothing more really than a search engine. Okay, it's a buyer search engine, much like Google. So people go into Amazon and they type in debt relief, as in my Life After Debt book, and the books that have the most reviews, the best reviews, and obviously keywords important, but reviews even more significant. Those are very, very weighted by Amazon. So if you want your book to sell next month, the month after, in future years, and all over the world, then you need to make sure you have great reviews on the front end for Amazon. Number two is, if you do plan to do a marketing launch on your book, and I'm going to share a little bit about our marketing launches and how we do that. If you do plan on doing that, then understand that the websites that even for you to pay for your marketing, those websites will require that your book will be a high quality book. and they're not going to read your book. So the only way they can judge that is if your book has a certain number of 4 and 5 star reviews. Typically, that number is 7 to 10 at a minimum. Some advertising channels require more 4 and 5 star reviews. Most at least 7. So you need to have that many reviews before you can even pay a company to advertise it, or pay one of these big Kindle publishing websites that get millions of book buyers and reviewers. Even if you want to spend $100, they won't take your money. 1,000, they won't take your money unless the book is well received. So number 2, no fake reviews ever. Last thing you want to do is do one of these things with Fiverr, or with Elance, or one of these companies where you can buy reviews. Never, 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 never do that. Your account can get banned, and then what are you going to do? You are out of luck. It's a mess. Use your list. Author clubs are great. We use author clubs. It's a very tedious process. We actually trade reviews with other authors. My staff does here. Remember, it's part of having a team. And it's manual labor, but again, it's one of the only ways to get great reviews. If you've been on my list any length of time, you might have also seen that we'll do these review contests where we'll give away a Kindle Fire HD, and people will buy and review my clients' books, and be entered to win a Kindle Fire HD. So really, really important to get reviews. I have circled there. I think at that time it was 29. It's 30 something now, which I don't focus much on my book except now to test new launch methods. This is cool. We launched this book for a client maybe 6 months or so ago, and when you have a great launch strategy and a client that also is working hand in hand with you, really amazing things happen. In fact, last week I just pulled this off his book, but he's up to 44 customer reviews, and his average is 5 stars. It's a great book called The Nehemiah Effect. Ted and his brother Andrew are consultants, and here's what he said. I won't read the whole thing, but basically he said, we stayed in the top 10 after Rob's launch. We stayed in the top 10 for 3 weeks, and we're number 1 bestsellers, hot new releases, and best rated. We got 37 5-star reviews. Since the promotion started, I've gotten 3 speaking engagements, 4 new clients, and booked a ton of new business. And Wiley, for the the 4 Dummies business publisher, wants to talk to us. Dang, this is a good idea. Thanks, Rob. And then he goes on to talk about, thanking, and you can see that his book at the bottom was a hot new release, and also a top rated book. So when it's done right, you can get a ton of reviews, and reviews really lead to some amazing, amazing things. Okay, so once all of that is in place, the next step is the launch. Okay, the launch of your book. And you've probably heard this, but when it comes to like the space shuttle lifting off, or even a jumbo jet or an aircraft, like 95% of the thrust and the power and the force all has to go into the beginning for the space shuttle to leave the atmosphere, or for the plane to get off the ground. Once the plane gets off the ground and it climbs to its flying elevation, or once the space shuttle gets into upper atmosphere, it can really reduce the amount of thrust is needed to go even faster and faster. Of course, planes will fly at 500 miles an hour, and they don't use a fraction of the thrust that they use to get off the ground. So the launch is really, really important. If it's not done right, then your book's never going to get off the ground. So let me give you the steps for a successful book launch. Now this is, of course, once you have the right title, the cover is right, the formatting is done, and all the reviews are in place. Again, minimum of 7, 4, and 5 star, but probably 10 would be a little bit better. Then the next thing you want to do is, and I'll go through all of these 5 individually, but you want to schedule press releases on your book. You then want to schedule the advertising. You want to schedule your social media, and that's Twitter and Facebook, certainly. LinkedIn if it's a business related book. And then if you're in any kind of private author groups, which if you're an author or you want to be an author, you should be in private author groups. So let me talk about some of these specifics of each one of these 3 things, and why, or multiple things, and why we do them. So the first thing that I talk about here is press releases. So when we launch our clients' books, we do 3 press releases. We do the whole launch. This whole getting the space shuttle into the upper atmosphere is all centered around a 5-day promotional period for our clients' books. So we do multiple things, spend money, time, energy, focus, everything all on those 5 days because we want an explosion of sales. When there's an explosion of sales and there's already multiple 4 and 5 star reviews, then the book is going to go all the way to the top of Amazon in its category. So the first thing, scheduling the press releases. So we do a press release on the day that the promotion starts. We do it on day 3 of the promotion, and we do it on the last day of the promotion. We do it on day 3. Each one builds on another. We do it on day 3 because by then our clients already become a bestseller. So we now announce that this new best-selling book is on promotion. Of course, we do it on day 5 because that's the last day of the promotion, and we want a big thrust of downloads and sales on that last day. So 3 press releases is a great strategy for us. We schedule the advertising for a client. So I told you it's all centered around a 5-day promotional period. We have 35 different websites that get literally millions of book buyers every single month going to them because they're interested in, the best and high quality and the newest books in different genres. So whatever genre you're in doesn't matter. Fiction, nonfiction, children's, obviously many, many different individual genres in each one of those things. You can pay for advertising on myriads of different websites, get to the very front page where hundreds of thousands of people may be viewing and see, well, this book is on promotion. Go and get this book now. Give us a review, etc. On 35 different sites and in front of millions of people over a 5-day period, we're going to get thousands of downloads. Next is social media. Social media is hugely, hugely important. You probably found me via social media. I spend 6 figures a year just in my marketing on social media. And I do that because the return on investment is enormous. So you need to be engaged with Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., because those are great places for you to market your book. And then, as I said, lastly, private author groups, really, really important. So, I won't go, I went in the details about press releases. They are an amazing strategy for a couple of reasons because they can also get you in places like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, ABC, CBS, NBC. I won't go into all the details there, but I've been in all of those magazines and newspapers because of press releases. You can too. When you get all these things right, then the results can be just amazing. This is actually a fiction book that we launched for a client that owns a software company that caters to Fortune 500 companies. It's a massive company. It's a multiple 7-figure business, but they wanted to write a business fiction and use that book to promote their business. Of course, when it was launched, which this is back in March, went to number 1 in all of its different genres: skills, consulting, decision making, probability. I just checked earlier this week, or maybe it was earlier last week, when I originally put this together, and they were still number 6. Of course, they'll come and go, but pretty cool. I mean, this is almost exactly 6 months later, and the book is still a bestseller. So pretty neat. There you can see it was the number 1 book in business management and leadership. This is another client of ours, Damon Lane. He's a financial advisor. You can see his book was a hot new release. It was a top-rated book. It was number 1, in business and investing. Really, really successful. Damon actually uses his book to advertise on the radio. And in the time that he's been doing that, which is about 2.5, 3 months, he told me the other day that he's gotten more leads and more clients in a 2-month period than he would typically get in an entire year. And that's because he's using his book to attract people into his business. Very cool. This is actually a children's book I did for a really successful business person that wrote this book with him and his family. It wasn't about money for him, but the cool thing is he used the numbers, the metrics from our launch. His book was downloaded, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 times, and he went to Walmart and said, look how successful my book was. This is something that you need to carry, and he's actually in negotiations with Walmart right now for them to carry his book in multiple stores. This guy owns an 8-figure business. He is super successful, really neat guy. And of course he was going to make it successful. This is a spiritual book that we did for great client of mine, Kevin Jackson. Kevin was pretty fired up because when we launched his book, it went all the way to #1, but it was outselling one of his personal heroes, which is Joel Osteen. So he was pretty excited about that. When you outsell, the biggest pastor in the country, that's pretty exciting if you're a pastor. He was also invited on Good Morning Mississippi live TV, and he was invited on Super Talk Radio, which was a national radio show. So pretty cool. Really, really successful launch for him. When it's done right, it can be done so well. This is a book we did for a client that is a top earner in his network marketing company. I pulled this earlier. You can see his book has 84 customer reviews, 5-star on average. Really, really successful. Steve has a great market. The network marketing industry is a hungry industry, and he is just one of the top guys. The book was a great book, and the launch was a great launch. And of course, it amounted to, massive, massive sales and interest. So here's the question. Wow, I've been talking for a long time, talked a lot about the promotion strategy. How would it help you? How would it help your business speaking? Whatever it is you do, I'd like to hear specifically how it would help you if your book was in the hands of thousands of your potential clients. Not a few, not dozens, thousands of your potential clients. I'll give you 20 or 30 seconds and then we'll jump into the last strategy. How would it help you? How would it help you if your book was in the hands of thousands of your potential clients? Give you 20 or 30 seconds, so give me some feedback. Cindy says, I would finally be the hunted and not the hunter. Wow, that's exactly right. Thanks for that. You're 100% right, Cindy. Aaron says they would have a platform to sign up for seminars and workshops. That's right, Aaron. Your clients would have you would have a platform, and your clients would have a great opportunity through, your book and reaching them to sign up for the next step with you. What a lot of people don't understand is the book is not your primary source of income ever. The book is the cheapest thing. That's the first rung of the ladder. There have to be multiple rungs. There have to be, maybe there are information products like CDs or DVDs. This is stuff that we teach our clients. Maybe there are seminars that you do. Maybe there's a high-end done-for-you program like we offer. All of those things are super, super important. You need to have those things in place. So well said. Beth says it would jumpstart my book coaching business. Yeah, that's right. If you have a book coaching business, then, it's probably a good idea to have a best-selling book. So you're 100% right, Beth. Timothy says it would help me get speaking gigs. Oh, wow. Would it ever? I mean, imagine, there are 3 great speakers. You're one of them. And, you're all vying for the same opportunity, but you're the best-selling author. Well, where's the credibility going to be? It's going to go to you as a best-selling author, no question. Faye said it would create more opportunities for invites to good speaking gigs. Yes, I would be the hunter and not the hunted. Fantastic. You're 100% right. Janae said instant documented credibility and speaking engagements would follow. A lot of speakers on the line. Yes, you're 100% right. Christine says it would be the foundation for my business. Even more than that, Christine, it is the gateway to your 6 or 7-figure business. So you're 100% right. Danny says, do you recommend having your picture displayed on the cover of your book if you're diving into a motivational speaking, face recognition? So I want to hold the questions to the end, Danny, but I'll answer that for you. I do like my clients to have their image on the book if they're in an image-related industry. So yes, however, it could be super successful with your image never being on it. So it's definitely there's freedom of choice. I do personally recommend that to my clients. Michelle says, what would it mean? It would mean financial security. Yes, it could. Jim says he agrees with Cindy. Very well said. Carlisle says I could be even more of a change agent. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Lisa says it would launch my career as a health coach, thus helping more individuals getting healthy. Jean-Pierre says it would be fantastic, generating leads to services I can offer. You're right, Jean-Pierre, and we're really close to getting that happening for you. Kathy says, confidence building. I feel like people would take me more seriously and understand that I really do know what I'm talking about. Beautifully said. It would give you confidence. Danny says, I'd be able to create a big enough impact to help thousands of people. Ray says, I'd get to be the hunted also for speaking ops. Yep. Jennifer says, I'd have more momentum for speaking engagements. Yeah, momentum is big. Beth says, be able to reach my goals of helping 1,000 coaches, consultants, and professionals by 2016. Sure, you could get, you could get 1,000 books into the hands of people, within a couple of months. No question about it. Patricia, I'd get many more speaking engagements. Richard, certainly help generate more prospects to go into your sales pipeline. Well said. I would immediately be the expert in my arena. It would most probably generate speaking engagements. Yes. We're going to talk about lead generation. In the next section, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, we're going to talk about lead gen, we're going to talk about speaking engagements, and we're going to talk about free publicity and how you use your book to get all of those things. Aaron says, I'd be geared up for being a host of my own show. Yeah, you would. Absolutely, you would. That would be really cool. Miko says, my vision of being a sought-after, resourceful speaker would be realized. Yes, it would. And there's more, comments from Danny and Kelly and Renee and Richard and Patricia and others. So thank you, guys, for your comments. Thank you. And yes, you're 100% right. You remember what this is? Your book is your gateway to your 6 or 7 figure business. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, there's things to do. Yes, there's an investment. But wow, it is such a small, insignificant investment to what the upside is. So keep that in mind. Last phase, remember, publish, promote, profit. Our profit phase, let me share with you a little bit about this because this is kind of where the rubber meets the road, is really profiting from your book. So a lot of people come to me, hey, Rob, I got my book. It's been out. Yeah, maybe, it's not going great, but, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. I wrote a book and I put it out there and, now like it was like Field of Dreams. I just expected something magical to happen, right? I plowed the field and, I held off the bill collectors and here I am and no one's coming. That happens in the movies, but unfortunately, if you build it, they will come doesn't happen in real life. You have to use your book to make an impact on your audience and on your potential clients. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that. We do that with 3 things that we focus on with our clients and that you can focus on too. The first is speaking engagements. Speaking engagements. I have a client, Karen Simpson Hankins, that came to me a couple years ago actually with her book. Her book had been out for a couple of years. She was in the mortgage industry, and obviously, she had been a mortgage consultant for decades, and she had been through the ups and downs. And great lady, great business, good writer, great book, but the book wasn't doing very much. So she really wanted to kind of gear up her speaking. She wanted to do speaking and consulting and that kind of thing besides her mortgage company. So, it was cool. We launched her book. Her book went to number one within a very, very short period of time. That's a picture of Karen, and that's her book there on the right. But the cool thing was the kind of impact just in my list. This was just from my list of people. I got an email from one of the people on my personal list, and he wrote to me, hi, Rob, is Karen Simpson Hankins, Conquer Your Closing, available to speak and or book signing at the upcoming real estate convention? You can see this is from June of last year. Available dates. He asked what her current fee was, etc. Here's the cool thing. Karen actually was given an invite to speak to, over 3,000 realtors, $2,500 fee. She had never spoken to more than 100 people before. And given the opportunity to even sell her books and her products, if she had any, at the back of the room and keep 100% of what she was going to earn. And the only reason this happened is because during my launch of the book, when her book went to number one, and it was shown to my list, this client happened to be on my list. Karen didn't do anything. In one sense, I didn't do anything other than push send on my email list. I mean, you can really become the hunted when it comes to speaking engagements. Here's the thing. I don't know if that's going to happen for you, but there is a strategy, and there's a number of strategies that you can use to actually get speaking engagements. One of them that we teach our clients is just as simple as like Sean does, my senior project manager, like Sean does in that initial call with clients, talking about, let's make sure you're going to write the correct book. Let's make sure we know your audience. What are the goals that you want to achieve? Just like Sean does. Well, one of the things we do with our clients regarding speaking is we talk through, okay, you want to speak. All right, let's think through, what is your message going to be? Let's think through, who is the audience that is going to be most apt to listen to your message? What are their problems? How are you going to solve them? And then what is the thing you're going to offer at the very end? Because you know, speak for free if you can, because if you speak for free in front of your ideal audience and you have something to offer that ideal audience, then you're going to make even more money than you would have ever made in a speaking fee by offering your services. So there are some great ways to get these types of speaking engagements. One that we recommend, as I said, is after we discover those things, we then have the client do some research on the organizations that would be best. So, a client of mine that's a financial planner that serves kind of middle class folks, we kind of outlined a strategy to go to. Okay, go to the fraternal order of the police, go to the sheriff's department, go to the firefighters, et cetera, because generally speaking, after 20 or 25 years, these guys have hundreds of thousands, and in some cases even millions of dollars in their retirement, and yet they have no idea what to do with it, roll it over, annuity, etc. And a client like that could be worth $40,000 or $50,000 to a financial advisor. So you need a reputable financial advisor. So we outlined a strategy to send my client's best-selling book with a cover letter that we put together to these various places to offer services to come speak for free. Anybody can do that. Basically, you're becoming the hunted. Yes, you are initiating that conversation by sending them a copy of your best-selling book, but by doing that, you are positioning yourself as the expert in the industry. So speaking engagements, really, really big. Number two is publicity. Publicity. I shared about Karen. I have another cool story about Karen that is worth sharing. Karen, when Karen wrote her book, when we launched it, we made it a bestseller. She really went all in. She wanted to focus on all three things. She wanted to focus on getting speaking engagements. She wanted to focus on free publicity. And what Karen did was what we teach, which is, going to these sources, podcasts, blogs, terrestrial radio, could be national, could be local, and becoming the go-to expert for these sources in your field. So if you are a health coach, then there's a myriad of fitness shows and nutrition shows and shows that are in and around your industry that you can find at places like Blog Talk Radio, HARO, HARO, which is Help a Reporter Out, webtalkradio.net, and there's a number of other places that we suggest to our clients where with a simple introduction as, hi, I'm Rob, I'm the best-selling author of Life After Debt, I am a financial expert, etc. These people will gladly have you on their radio show. Here's the cool thing. Karen did 100 radio interviews using these sources over a period of 12 months. 100 radio interviews. And Karen, a few months after her launch, sent this to me because, remember, she was doing it all. She did the speaking, she did the radio, her book launched and went all the way to #1. She sent me the coolest email. She said, hey, Rob, I have to share some big news. I got a shocking phone call. I belong to the National Association of Professional Women. It's a networking educational organization for women with over 500,000 members. Talk about massive. They just called. That's cool by itself. And told me for all my work that I've been doing, right, 100 radio interviews, best-selling book, speaking engagement to 3,000 realtors, to educate home buyers and protect their interests, I've been selected as the 2013 NAPW National Professional Woman of the Year for my industry. Wow, I didn't see that coming. I'll be featured in a full-page article in their national magazine next month, and I guess there's going to be some media coverage. How cool is that? Media coverage. So here's the idea. What would 100 radio interviews do for your business? Yes, do you have to do them? Sure. And does it take time? Absolutely. But imagine having the opportunity to, as a best-selling author to, go, find the right shows on HARO, find the right shows on Blog Talk Radio, find the right shows on webtalkradio.net, find the places and become, their go-to expert. So give me some feedback. What would 100 radio interviews do for your business? Cindy says, wow, massive, all capitals. I like that, Cindy. It would be massive, 100% right. Massive is right. What would they do? Let me give you a few seconds to share. I want you to think about it because this is possible for you. You can do this. You can't just put out your book and then just cross your fingers and hope. You need a strategy. So for our clients, they become best-selling authors because that's part of our process. We guarantee that. But then the next step is, okay, three things we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on speaking. We're going to focus on radio. We're going to focus on lead gen. So tell me a little bit about how that would help you in your business. I want some feedback from you guys. Tom says massive credibility, 100% right. Christine says amazing, helping others with solutions. Totally right. Miko says it would be outstanding, a huge bonus for marketing and getting my name and my product out. 100%, Miko, would be amazing. Give me some more feedback. I want to hear from you guys. This is exciting stuff. At least it is to me, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where remember the three things that every author wants, the income, the impact, the independence. This is where it happens, okay? The book gets things started, but this is where it continues. Lisa says, ditto all of the above. Jennifer says it would give me credibility as an expert. Kelly says, exactly what I need. That's what I'm talking about. Aaron says, get clients to my website, free content, build your list. Yes, it would build a great list. Kathy says, love it. It would give me the opportunity to reach so many more people and therefore be able to help so many more, which of course would bring me more impact, credibility, and that's right, income. Richard says, huge credibility, but also can be recorded to offer as podcasts and perhaps fodder for more books. 100%. I'm doing a book for a chiropractor right now that runs his own radio show, and basically we're using all the content from his radio shows for his book. So 100% it can be done like that. Jim says, my business educating. I've taught at 5 major universities, and this would give me even more opportunities. Yes, it would. I have several clients that are PhDs. One is at University of Florida. That's a professor, and he's looking to have more speaking opportunities, and also do more consulting gigs. So 100%, even though you speak every day as a professor like this PhD does, you still want opportunities to speak to your ideal client and to maybe offer your consulting and services. Johnny says, open up tremendous exposure. Michelle says, would extend my reach. Danny says, high impact with minimum output. Shotgun approach. I like that. Darlene says, grow my business like crazy. Beautiful, Darlene. Very, very well said. All right, last but not least is leads. And I'm going to open it up to Q&A in just a little bit. So, I'll move through this as fast as possible. So lead generation. It's not enough just to get your book out there. Even for your book to become a bestseller, you need a strategy to use it to attract your ideal customer. We shared a minute ago about speaking. There's still strategy within speaking. I shared about radio. There has to be a strategy with radio. I don't even have time to tell you about my radio stuff, because I did live radio, for several years. I was on the radio all told for 5 years. So I have some great strategies for our clients on how to use radio to grow their businesses. But I want to share with you, you need a funnel, a lead funnel. I want to share with you a couple of examples. Some of you may know who Russell Brunson is. He's a great marketer. He has an 8-figure business. This is what he said was the best product he's ever created. He's giving it away here. He's giving it away not out of the goodness of his heart, though he's a pretty cool guy. He's giving it away because this is the beginning of his funnel. He's growing his list, and he's going to be offering you the next thing. Okay? Whoops. I just skipped past Perry Marshall. Those of you that know Perry Marshall, I don't think I can go back there. Let's see. There he is, Perry Marshall. In this slide, Perry is giving away for 1 penny his best-selling book, 80/20 Sales and Marketing. Again, he's giving it away for 1 penny because he knows that it will lead to more opportunities. It's the beginning of his lead generation funnel. You need to have a funnel. This is something that Perry wrote in an email that some of us on his list got not long ago. He talked about, today my hourly consulting fee is 500% higher than it was back then. What changed? I wrote a book, a real 3-dimensional bookstore book, and he goes into the reasons why writing a book can increase your fees by 500%. I can tell you that is the truth for me as well. You guys know who this is. This is Robert Kiyosaki. No one ever heard of Robert until he became a best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Here he's giving away his New York Times bestseller. Look, it's free ebook, giving away his New York Times bestseller, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. Why is he doing that? Because it is his funnel. It is his lead generation funnel, because it's going to lead to coaching, consulting opportunities for Robert's business. Very briefly, this is the lead generation funnel that I used in my financial services company that led to, a 7-figure income in a very short period of time. We gave away my book. You can see at the top, my bestseller, free to you. I gave it away on the radio. I gave it away online. I used pay-per-click advertising. I paid to give it away. I did that because what that led to was leads, massive, massive lead generation. I didn't just hand it out. I, of course, had a funnel that people had to go through to get it. They had to give me a certain amount of information. In many cases, they set up an appointment with me. You can see appointment after appointment after appointment to generate these leads. Okay. There is a challenge, though, in all of this. Okay. The challenge is you need to have a funnel in place. Okay. It's not just enough to say, hey, here's my book and hope that people come back to you. No, you need to have a funnel in place so that people can be followed up with in an automated fashion, and so that those that are the most interested set up appointments with you. Okay? We teach our clients exactly how to set up a funnel. Let me just share with you some of the funnel that you may have even come through yourself and see how this might relate to your business. And this is used beautifully with a book. This is my ad on Facebook. Want to write a book and become a bestseller. This is kind of the very beginning of the funnel. You can see it's been around for a while. It's got 1,700 thumbs up, 800 shares, 172 comments. This gets someone interested in taking that first step with you. It could be just like I showed you, Robert Kiyosaki giving away his New York Times bestseller. It could be you giving away your book on health coaching, or you giving away your book on meditation, or you giving your book away on financial consulting. The next step is it then goes to a lead or landing page. This page is congruent with your ad. This is the page, of course, for my webinar, the one that I did last week. And this was 100% congruent, how to explode your business with a best-selling book. This is part of the whole funnel process. If you didn't go right to the webinar, and of course you guys did because you're on this webinar right now, you may have seen this page. Here's the simple three-step formula that created bestsellers, blah, blah, blah. Again, a very simple, even ugly page that leads people down a process to give me their access information, their email, in exchange for the thing that they're looking for. Again, if you're a best-selling author, that thing is your best-selling book. In this case, it was my video. Many of you have seen this. It's a 17-minute video that goes through different case studies that leads people to take the next step with me, and that next step is for a one-on-one call. The one-on-one calls are done primarily by Sean. They're done by Sean because, quite frankly, I mean, he's my project manager. He's the guy that digs in deep. He makes sure that our clients really have a viable book that they're going to do. If they don't, then we talk about, okay, what their skills may be and their expertise, so we direct them back in the right way. Sean does all of that because he's better at it. I mean, I'm not the ghostwriter. I'm not the editor. Those aren't my strengths. Just like, hopefully you can have a team in place to help you put out your book, make it a bestseller, and then show you all the ways that you can create lead generation and grow your business from it. That leads to automated appointments for myself and for my company. These automated appointments, I don't do anything except for put my free book out there or put my free tool out at the beginning of my lead generation funnel, and then people go ahead and fill out the form, and they then set a specific time to meet with me. In other words, as my furry little friend here says, you become the hunter. Excuse me. The hunter becomes the hunted. You become the hunted. That's the idea of having a lead generation funnel. So I shared with you, I want to share with you the profit. You have the book. You know how to promote it to make it a bestseller. But the next step is then making sure that if you want to speak, if you want publicity, or even if you don't, I imagine you want leads, you have to have the pieces in place to generate leads. So let me ask you guys some more feedback to make sure that you really got it here. How would it feel to have your calendar filled with potential clients? What would it be like to have your calendars filled with potential clients? And if you already do, share that. I'd like to hear that. If not, and you are the hunter, really, what would it feel like to come in knowing that you have 3 ideal clients that filled out forms and set aside time to speak with you about fixing their problem? What would that feel like? Beth says amazing. Michelle says exciting. I love the exclamation points and the caps, ladies. Thanks. Kelly says heaven on earth. I love it. Michelle says amazingly awesome. Jennifer, I would be so excited. You can totally do this, Jennifer. You can. Kathy says, woohoo, totally fantastic. Uh, Lauren says relief. Yeah, there is a sense of relief knowing that, next week I'm going to have as many appointments as I choose to have. Frank says outrageous. Yes, Frank, that's beautiful. Johnny says finally fulfilled and ready to win. Beautiful. Jean Pierre would be great having purpose. Love that. Jim says quality is preferred to quantity. No problem. No problem. Think about this. If you've seen any of my process, if you've gone to my video and my strategy session, Jim, you'll see that I actually want my clients, my even before they ever have an appointment with Sean, my project manager, I want to make sure that they jump through hoops, meaning that I want to know personal information. I ask, even in some cases, hard questions. Tell me what your income is right now. Tell me what you want your income to be. Tell me why you haven't reached your goals. Tell me, are you a procrastinator or an action taker? These are the questions on my form. If someone fills that out honestly, do you think that that is a quality or quantity lead? For me, it's quality. Cindy says, I'd feel like a millionaire. Danny says, I love the automated platform you just mentioned. How does that work? I'd have to we'll have to spend some time on the telephone. There's a lot of steps in the process, but I wanted to show you every element of my lead generation funnel because these are the elements that you have to have for a lead generation funnel. Carlos says I would be Rob Cosberg. You're funny, Carlos. Patricia says peace of mind. I could breathe. Beautiful. Lisa, incredibly fantastic. Christine, an expert. Wow. Faith says wow. Danny says is there a way to walk away from appointments to have a truly automated platform? Dude, come on. I mean, most people just like the appointments. Now you're already going to the next step of walking away. Actually, the funny answer to that is there is a way, but generally that's not selling high-end consulting. That's selling a product. So if you have a product that's 200, 300, 500, even $1,000, you can sell that in an automated fashion using your free best-selling book that might lead to an automated webinar that then leads to an automated purchase type platform. So I don't do that personally. I have friends that do that to the tune of 6 figures plus a month. I have a buddy of mine that owns a golf course in South Carolina. Is one of my golf buddies, and he runs a totally automated online business selling $47 ebooks, and he sells 4 to 5 thousand of them a month, completely automated. So can it be done? Yes, but the best-selling book leads to some tremendous things. Michelle says, do you help us set up the lead generation funnel? I do help my clients do that, Michelle. I help them with the stages of that. Uh, you know, uh, I'll help them with the copywriting. I'll talk through the different tools that they need to use. Absolutely. We help our clients with that. Danny says, got it. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. So this is a great client of mine. Actually, he's been a coaching client. I've done 2 books for him. Jim Hanson is his name. The cool thing about Jim is Jim actually was with Subway, the Subway restaurant chain, for 25 years. He started with them when they had 6 stores. And you can look him up, Jim Hanson. He became the CEO of franchising for Subway. He took their stores from just a few to over 20,000 worldwide. The guy is a franchising guru. So he's actually the guy that discovered Jared. They're good friends. Pretty cool. Anyway, I helped him write his book, Secrets of Choosing a Franchise, but for the sole purpose of the new franchise that he owns. That's called Seniors Helping Seniors. Jim actually works with this new franchise opportunity and owns territories all over the United States. And he uses his book to sell his franchise. So you can see what he said. I only get better by being with players that are better than me, an atmosphere where people are striving for excellence. That's what Rob's group does. In the last 9 days, I've produced 178,600 income, and a lot of this has to do with the work I'm doing with Rob, Jim Hanson. Pretty cool. So, last but not least, we'll open it up to some questions here in a minute. As I said, this is your gateway, guys, to your 6 or 7 figure business. Your own book, your own best-selling book, used appropriately, can be the very gateway to that. Now, I don't know why you came here. I told you there's nothing for sale. There's no pitch here to make. But I don't know what brought you here. I don't know if you just don't know how to write a book, or you don't, you've been trying for a long time, or you want to make sure you write the correct one, or maybe you're tired of chasing clients and you're wondering if the book is the answer, or maybe you hate the roller coaster, or maybe you just want to go to the next level. Maybe you have a book, but the book's like been on life support. I really don't know, what the challenges are. Um, I did this. You got to forgive this, okay? I was talking to a buddy of mine in Australia 1 hour before this webinar, okay? 1 hour. And I was going through this with him, and he said, "Dude, you need to talk about that on the webinar." I'm like, "I can't make up a slide." So here's what I did. Look, I'm not an artist. People don't pay me to be an artist, just like they don't pay me to be an editor. They pay me for results to help people to publish, promote, and profit from their own best-selling book. So the cool thing is, as I was explaining this process, I thought I would share it with you. So I don't know where you're at, but here's kind of the step by step. The first step is that project manager hat that you need to wear. That's Sean. That's what kind of makes it all happen. That's writing, as you can see, the correct book, and that's having the process in place to write the book. This is how you go from idea to bestseller. Okay. Now I don't have the profit piece in here. This is just from idea to bestseller, and then the profit is the next step, which is kind of my specialty. Here's how we do it. Here's how you can do it. So it begins with a conversation with Sean, who, as the senior project manager, he wants to make sure that there is a book. Everybody has a book in them, but we want to make sure that our clients are experts, and we want to make sure that they're going to write the correct book to get them what they want, so it can really lead to profit at the end. That it starts with Sean. It starts with that project manager cap, as I said. It then goes into the process, okay, of how to get this done. That's the focus on, okay, what's my ideal client's fears, aspirations, worries? What results do I want to achieve? Am I going to focus on speaking engagements? Am I going to focus on radio? How do I do the lead generation funnel once the book is done, etc.? The next step is mapping it out. And I have 1 to 3 written down here in red. That mapping process is what I do directly with every client. With every client, I actually take the information that Sean goes over, and Sean and I sit down. We think through it, plan through it. Then I have 1 to 3 sessions with my clients. This is if they haven't written a book and they want to write a book. That 1 to 3 sessions are really to determine what the title is going to be, what the hook is, what the subtitle, and what the content's going to be, so that we make sure it is the correct book. From there, it goes to GW. That's the ghostwriting team. Typically, it's in ghostwriting for a couple of months with the client, then editing, then the cover, then the formatting, then the review process, then the press releases, the ads are set, the social media is set, and then that 5-day promo period, and boom, the launch. And that process, that project manager hat, again, for my clients, it's Sean. That's the guy that gets it started on the right foot, make sure we have something viable, and then keeps the thing on track. So I share all of that to say this: if you guys are interested, what I'm going to do is, I've opened up, and with Sean's permission, I've opened up a bunch of slots to speak to Sean directly, and to have that initial project management discussion about your book. If you already have a book, it'll be discussing where the book is at, what results you want to achieve, what may need to be changed, cover or title, etc. If you don't have a book, then it's the discussion about what results do you want to achieve in your business, where's your business at now, how can the book help you to achieve that. And so there's nothing to buy, there's not selling anything. That whole conversation is, okay, let's help you to reach your goals. And if you and I, if our team and you is a fit to work together, then we'll share a little bit about how that can happen in a second telephone call. We won't do it in the first one. And if we're not a fit to work together, then we'll try to direct you to the right place. We just want to see if and how we can help you. So at this site right there, beginmybook.com, all it is a direct link to my TimeTrade account. TimeTrade is an automated appointment setting, and you'll see it's just an appointment for 15-minute conversations. That's all it is, 15-minute conversations. It's going to be, I'm hearing that the audio is glitching, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. The 15-minute conversations are going to be with Sean. It's going to be focused on the things that I shared about regarding the project management piece, your book. If you already have one, how we can help you with it. We'll see how we can help you, if we can help you, and if we can't, then we'll direct you to the right resources. Okay, so let me open it up for some questions. Any questions that you guys have? Otherwise, go to beginmybook.com, book in for a 15-minute session with Sean, Uh, we have not that many available. I think I only set aside 15 or 20 of those sessions, so I would expect that they're going to go pretty fast. So by all means, go ahead and book in. Any questions that you guys have, now is the time to ask, and I want to answer your questions and help you in any way that I can. So I got Jennifer. Jennifer says, when should I put out a press release? I'm publishing my ebook as a paperback in October. Okay, so the press releases, Jennifer, as I shared earlier, announce the promotional period of your book. So remember, we talked about launch. We're trying to get the space shuttle off the ground and into the upper atmosphere. We're trying to get your book to bestseller status. So the press releases, they specifically are announcing this big promotion that you're going to do, where any advertising that you're going to schedule, any social media, all of the things that you want to focus on to make your book as appealing as possible, you want to do that in a very, very short window of time. We do that in a 5-day window. So our press releases go out the day our promotion begins, the third day of our promotion, and then the last day of our promotion. So that's when your press releases want to go out to make as big an impact as possible. So Kelly says, I want to work with you guys, with your company. I see the end result clearly, but have no set plan to get there. Believe your company will bridge that gap. My launch is coming, but I'm guessing on how to go about it. Look forward to talking to Sean. Great, Kelly. Look forward to talking to you too. Sean is going to, as I said, help you really focus on, okay, it sounds like you already have your book. So we want to talk about launching your book, what it's going to take to make your book a bestseller. And we want to talk about the profit phase. So what results do you want to achieve from your book? How are you going to achieve it? All those things. So go ahead and go to beginmybook.com. And there's nothing to buy there. It's just to set an appointment with Sean. If you guys go there and there are no appointments available, it means that they've all been taken. So make sure that you go there quickly. Let me know, by the way, if they've all been taken. Go ahead and type in the question box if that's the case. Miko says, reminder, tell us where to get the slides. Thank you, Miko. Thank you. See, I totally forgot. Okay, so you're going to go to get the slides and the recording. Now, it's not going to be up immediately, but I want you to go to bestsellerpublishing.org/author webinar. I'll type it in here. It's bestsellerpublishing.org/author webinar. Okay? Bestsellerpublishing.org/author webinar. I've just sent that to everybody. Thank you for reminding me on that. That's good. Okay, Danny is asking, what's the average timeline for someone to complete this process from scratch? Great question, Danny. Thanks for asking that. There are some variables depending on how fast the author can work with us, but what we ask from our authors is a commitment of one session a week from them. So if someone gets started with us today, from start to finish, their book is, all the sessions with Sean, with myself, with the ghostwriter, the editing, the formatting, the cover design, the book, online, and then the launch is generally about 5 months or so. Now, if you do one session a week with us, then it's probably going to take us 8 to 10 sessions, which is 8 to 10 weeks to get the content of your book. I have some clients that have said, look, I know what I want. I know my content. I want to get it done faster, and we've done that. So it could be as little as 3.5 months, depending on whether or not you can move quickly as far as the content goes. So hopefully that answered it. 5 to 6 months at the outside. I have clients that get started, and then because they're busy, they're traveling, whatever. I have a client that just sold his business for $100 million. He's doing TED Talks. His promoter said that he needed a book, so he came to me. He's a busy guy. It's not about the money for him. He's already pretty fabulously wealthy. So it's probably going to take him longer to do the books because he's not going to do one session a week. Okay. So let's see. Beth says, booked. Great, Beth. Great. So that'll be a great conversation. That's at beginmybook.com. Just book in for a 15-minute session with Sean. Beth did that. Way to go. That'll be a really, really enlightening time for you. Faith says, is there a strategy for bringing life to a previously written book? Yeah, great question, Faith. There is. I can give you some generalities, but it's going to be different based on, what the challenges are with a client's book. When I see it initially, I can usually tell you what the challenges are. So the things that we do in our promotion phase, whether it's a client's book that we're starting from scratch and have complete kind of control to help the client, or if someone's coming to us, those are all the things that can spruce up and radically transform a book. So the first thing is you have to look at is the cover. You really have to make sure that you have the right cover. All the elements that I talked about there. You have to make sure that the book itself has the right title and subtitle. You have to make sure that the book has reviews. That's that's a manual labor process that we do for our clients, but you can do that yourself by exchanging reviews with other authors. And then, once the physical elements of the book are right, formatting's right, the book quality is right, cover, all the other things I said, then you launch the book. You relaunch it just like it's the very first time you're launching it, and the book will absolutely come to life and become a bestseller. We guarantee that for our clients. Doesn't matter if their book's been out 5 years or 5 months, makes no difference. Johnny says, I self-published with CreateSpace. I've had some success, but need to regroup and relaunch. Any ideas? Same things that I said with Faith. You might want to go back, since you're thinking about regrouping and relaunching, and maybe the book didn't achieve what you wanted to, is make sure that you've written the right book. Book in with a session with Sean at beginmybook.com, and he'll talk through, whether or not, there might be some changes that you can make to the book uh, in the specifics of who you're writing to, who your audience is, and then the other elements like cover and reviews and title and things like that. So very, very true either way. So Sean can help with that, and so can I. Michelle says, thanks, Rob. I will call Sean. He called me Friday, already filled out your form, but hadn't seen the webinar, so buzz him tomorrow. Okay, sounds good. Don't buzz him tomorrow. Sean is actually going in for surgery. So, do me a favor, and it'd probably be best to book in for a session with him at beginmybook.com, because he's having it's knee surgery. It's outpatient, but he's probably going to be down, most of the day, Michelle. So that might be a little bit better. Beth says, is there a free KD promotion to get downloads? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, some authors that don't know any better, they snub their nose at free downloads. I just showed you, 3 guys that have 8-figure plus businesses that are giving away their book for free. Robert Kiyosaki, is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's giving away his Wall Street Journal best-selling book for free. Giving away your book for free is a great strategy as long as you do it strategically. You have to do it strategically. If you do, like Robert Kiyosaki or Russell Brunson or, quite frankly, myself, others, then it will lead to massive, massive results for you. Michelle says, I didn't see the appointment time, only the deposit page at beginmybook.com. Beginmybook.com. So that should not be right. There should be no deposit page there. Let me, I don't want to end the webinar, so let me cancel out of there. Let me just go really quickly here. And let me go to beginmybook.com. Let's see. You guys should still be able to see my screen. Okay, this is what it should look like. All you do is you pick a time that's available. Looks like we've already had like 7 or 8 taken. So you just pick a time that's available and get that. That's all you need to do. So there's no deposit that you need to leave or anything like that. Okay, no deposit or anything. Nothing to worry about there. Christine says, how many outline chapter pages are good for an ebook? So how many pages are good for an ebook? So, that's a general question, but I'll answer it, the best way I know how. Don't think in terms of ebook. Think in terms of real book. Okay. For our clients, we want to create a book that's about 150 pages, because that's a book that is both substantial enough as a physical copy, which you need the physical copy if you're going to get speaking engagements and lead gen and radio publicity. You need the physical copy of the book. So, a lot of times people think, well, ebook, I'm going to create like a 40-page ebook or something like that. You can do that, and you could even have some success with that. But the reality is, if you're going to mail that to, a promoter for a speaking engagement, you know, I mean, it's so much more substantial to send them something that's really a significant book, 150 pages. Doesn't have to be 200 or 300. 150 is kind of the sweet spot. But then, someone looks at it and goes, well, that's a real book. A little 40 pager, maybe it's fine for an ebook, but it's probably not going to produce the results that you want for speaking engagements, real income generation. So I would try to do, 125, 150 pages minimum for your book. Lisa says, why must there be a ghostwriter involved? Lisa, there doesn't have to be. The reason that I created this program and have a ghostwriter is very simply because it was the quickest way to get the author's voice done in a way that 97% of the authors can work with, that I work with directly. You may be the kind of person that really is a good writer and you write every day and you don't want to work with a ghostwriter. Totally fine. But for most business owners, speakers, consultants, even fiction, children's books, that's just not their genetic makeup. So the ghostwriter and the hybrid ghostwriting process basically streamlines the whole thing. It allows you in a matter of weeks to get your book done rather than in a matter of months or years. Now, that may not be necessary for you, but for most people, it really is. Corinne says, yes, I really want to do this, but unsure if it's financially feasible. How do you get paid? Well, obviously, if we're going to create a book from scratch and launch it and make it a bestseller and teach our clients how to build a 6 or 7 figure income, we do want to get paid. So, our clients pay us. There is an investment involved in that. We have, a number of different programs that our clients can get engaged with. It can be as little as a few $1,000s to as much as 12, 15,000, depending on what the program is. So I can't answer specifically, not knowing anything about your situation, but I can tell you that relatively speaking, if you're in an industry, a coach, a speaker, a consultant, if you're a business owner, an expert, or some type of service provider, generally 1 or 2 new clients pays for your book forever. So that's the way we like to think of it. The return on investment is tremendous. Richard says, thanks, Rob. Just set my appointment. Looking forward to it. Great, Richard. Hey, thanks, buddy. Look forward to getting to know you as well. Lisa says, is there a fee for the 15-minute session? There is no fee. There is nothing to buy. It's completely free. And we're going to give you great stuff. I mean, I know it's going to be short, but remember how it's going to work. I shared the timeline with you. The 15 minutes is going to be a quick conversation, but we're going to try to determine if and how we can help you. And if we feel like we can't, then we're going to point you and we're going to say, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. Try this, try that. If we can help you, then we'll schedule a second call. And the second call will be longer because we'll have to dig in deeper into your client's primary, your ideal client's, primary fears, worries, concerns, etc. There's a lot to talk about. We can't do it in 15. So in 15 minutes, it's just a matter of if and how we can help you. And if we can't, we'll direct you. Danny says, does the cost vary from person to person? No, it does not vary from person to person. It can vary, though, based on if a client already has a book done or if a client already has material for a book, what process or stage they're in, etc. So it just depends. It depends if we're starting from the very beginning, or if we're starting, somewhere along the process. Michelle says, following directions is important. Booked for Thursday. Beautiful, Michelle. Very good. Linda says, having trouble choosing the target market for the book. There are several possible markets. To most of them, the content would be very similar, but the voice would be different. Very good. Yeah, very good question, Linda. And let's see, there's a second, I don't know if there's a second part. Linda also says, target audience I want may not be the only one that's most profitable and wide reaching. Okay, so you're 100% right. So part of my job in this and Sean's job is to work with you to figure out, I have clients that we've written multiple books for. So I don't have any problem doing more than one book for you. But we have to start somewhere. And ideally, we want a very specific and narrow, relatively speaking, narrow target market and target audience. Why? Because the more narrow, the easier it is for you to use your book to market to those people and to drive them into your lead generation funnel and to start getting clients on the other end of that funnel. It's also easier to get speaking engagements because they might be small speaking engagements, but if I can speak to 10, 20, 50, 100 of my ideal clients, I know 20, 30, 40% of them are going to become my clients. So I don't need to speak to thousands. I need to speak to a narrow audience. So our job in the beginning, remember, you start with the end in mind, is we want to figure out, okay, what end is Linda looking for? And let's really talk about what the perfect target market and audience is. And there's a lot of variables for that, but we'll discuss that together. So hopefully that was helpful. Beth says, do you work with anthology books? I'm thinking of working on one for coaches by coaches. I do, Beth. I'll be totally honest with you about that. I've done those in the past. And when you say anthology, my assumption is you mean like 20 chapters, 20 different authors, etc. And so the answer is yes, we'll do that. But I tell you that for many people that do that, the end publisher, it's more about making money than it is the end result that the client's going to get. Now, that's not always the case, and I know that there are some really big name people that do it. But here's the thing. If one of my clients that wrote their own book, or maybe there's just a co-author, sends that book for a speaking engagement and they're a best-selling author, and then someone who wrote an anthology book sends their book in and they say, yeah, I wrote one chapter in this book with Brian Tracy, as an example. You know, honestly, I mean, Brian Tracy and a lot of other big name guys hold a lot of weight, of course, but most people at this stage kind of see through that, especially, promoters and people that are, booking radio shows. They go, okay, that's cool. They wrote a chapter, but here's somebody that wrote the whole book. So it does matter. So I'm just being like really, really frank with you. I hope I'm not offending you. I really don't want to. So yes, we've done it, but it would really have to be the right circumstance because I really want it to be right for the client. I really want them to not just have a book and, so they kind of get a pat on the back. They have their own book and it's with so-and-so, but that they can really use that book to get what they want. I hope that was helpful. Beth says thank you. Michelle, thank you, Rob. I'm very grateful to get such great info and advice at the start of my writing career. You're welcome. My pleasure. Faith says, try to book an appointment with success. I'm leaving for Vegas on Saturday. Would like to chat when I'm back. There are appointments available on Monday, unless they were all taken. If they're all taken, then do this, Faith. Go ahead and email me. You know what? Or just go ahead and type in the question box here because others can't see it. Just put your name and your email address in there, and I will get in touch with you. I'll have Sean get in touch with you directly and set that up. So if all the spots are taken for a certain day already, then that means they're done and it's not showing up there. So what you need to do is to get a separate one. So just type in your name and your email address. Even better might be to send me a personal email. My personal email address is rob@bestsellerpublishing.org. Let me type it in here for everybody. rob@bestsellerpublishing.org. So I'll send that to everybody. So if you want, send me a personal email. If already the day is taken that you want and all the slots are filled, then we'll get you a separate slot. Jennifer says, looking forward to talking to Sean on Friday. Beautiful. Ask him how his knee is. Carlos, thanks, Rob. Lots to think about. Cool, Carlos. Lauren says, thank you. You are so welcome. Let me know if there are other questions. Lisa says, gee, I wonder if I should take this appointment as I'm just beginning to research content as well as a new student. I do, however, know that they have already begun speaking with us about writing books. Absolutely. It's 15 minutes. We'll tell you if and how we can help you, Lisa, and set you on the right path. The beginning is the best time to do that. So I would say absolutely. If there are available times, do it. Danny, does your team, Sean, assist with every step in this process, including marketing all the way up to launching, et cetera? When you say guaranteed a bestseller, do you work with us until we get to that point? Yeah, if I didn't make that clear, Danny, I'm sorry about that. 100% we do. We don't work with you until that happens. We make it happen. We do it. We do it all. We do the entire launch, and we guarantee, money back guarantee. Hear me on this. No one else does this. Money back guarantee. I know I'm not selling anything tonight, but we guarantee that our client's book will become a bestseller or it's free. Everything. So yeah, Yeah, it's not just, we don't just coach you, we do it. That's the only way we can be assured that it's going to be done right. We actually do it for you. So I hope that was clear. Forgive me if it wasn't. Christine says, "Thank you. So overwhelming. 150 pages. I needed to know. I want to begin my book after I'm on mobile. Focus on your voice right now. Listen to the good stuff. Okay, sounds good. Absolutely, Christine." Faith says, "Thanks so much. And you also gave me your email address. That's great. Do me a favor, Faith, and email me at rob@bestsellerpublishing.org as well, just so I can make sure that I get it. That would be great. Thanks for putting your email in here, though. I'll take questions for just another few minutes, and then I think we've had enough. It looks like there's a lot of people saying thank you, thank you. I'm gone for a week as of Saturday. No problem. Cindy says 12:30 Eastern is available on Monday. Good. This has been awesome. You are so welcome, Cindy. You're welcome, Lisa. Beth says, wow, this is great. You're welcome, Beth. Amazing, Rob. Danny says, very cool. Thanks, Danny. My pleasure to do this. You guys are awesome. Here's the thing. If you can book in, go ahead and book in tonight. That's at beginmybook.com. If there's none left, then go ahead and send me your email address to rob@bestsellerpublishing.org, and we'll get in touch with you via email. So hopefully this was really helpful, guys. Thanks so much for being with me. It's 2 full hours. I hope the content was great. Give me about a week or so to get the webinar up, but I will be sending it out to all of you, and I'll have it on the site, as I said, with the slides. Those of you that booked in appointments, I look forward to hearing about you and look forward to your journey. Guys, have a great evening. Talk to you soon.